I'm Des. Aetherdrift. Spoilers, let's go. Pedal the metal. Seat of Arma. Mask Racer. Well, the whole thing's an 80s cartoon anyway. Might as well put somebody in a mask, although you literally put their first and last name on the card. So it's 2 cost green, blue, 2/3 human rogue. Legendary, of course, because it's a named card. And exhaust. So it's 2 green, 1 blue, and then X. Put X11 counters on this card, then you may have the base power and toughness of each other creature you control become equal to Seat of Armor's power until end of turn. Oh, that is a one and done that will run you over. So pretty good value early game, really good value late game potentially as this big one shot. This is how you do exhaust. This is a fantastic card. However, I said this during the art spoilers and I'll say it again now. Is she actually racing on foot? I need to know. In fact, what is even going on there? Anyway, next up we got Boosted Sloop, the best type of sloop. It's a 3 cost green blue 3/3 with menace. It's a vehicle. Whenever you attack, draw a card, then discard a card. So it's just attack with at least one creature at all during your turn, and then crew 1. So it has a passive ability where if you can't crew it or you don't want to or it's not logical to do so, and you have a 1/1 Ornithopter or something, go for it. Heck, if you have a 0/1 Ornithopter, still counts. Kind of interesting. That's that anti-parking lot measure, which is where you kill all the crew members and then don't bother with the vehicles because nobody's left around to drive them. That's what made vehicles completely unplayable the first time around. So they said that they're going to solve it this time, and I call it the anti-parking lot measure because you don't want an empty parking lot full of stuff that can't do nothing. So next up, Captain Howler Sea Scourge. So he's a 4 cost, also blue-red, 5/4 legendary creature, Shark Pirate with Ward 2, and then also pay 2 life, so you have to do both. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Oh, for each discarded card, card discarded this way, same thing. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you draw a card. Kind of interesting, not spectacular, but interesting. I wouldn't mind playing with cards this power level, except, just look at it. This is not a draftable set. It is not designed to be draftable in any way. And with way faster, better, more powerful, more useful cards in 3 years worth of standard instead of 2 years, the set's just DOA. It's just not going to sell and nobody's going to buy the cards from it. I mean, that's the situation they put themselves in. It's just the reality of them being greedy. And that's a shame, but, that's the consequences of them being greedy a couple years ago, is what it is. Next up, we've got the famous Chandra. Spark Hunter, so Chandra still has her spark. I did not know that. I do wonder what Spark Hunter means. We actually saw a leak of this card without the bottom. And I'm like, literally, what does that mean? What? You can't steal someone else's spark. I think that happened technically once, and it took a lot of skill. Pre-mending too, I think. But, okay, so a 4 cost, 4 loyalty, mythic, legendary Planeswalker Chandra, of course. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose up to 1 target vehicle you control. Until end of turn, it becomes an artifact creature and gains haste. There you go, self-driving had to come up sometime. They even did that the first time around in Kaladesh. +2, you may sacrifice an artifact or discard a card if you do draw a card. Or you can just uptick it and not do that, but yeah, that's kind of nice. I mean, with the either or on there, that's actually pretty flexible, and it being +2, that's good. And then her passive, this is already really, really good, which is why she costs 4. I don't really know why they went with 3 colorless though, but this isn't a very red card so far. So okay, 0, create a 3/2 colorless vehicle artifact token with crew 1. All right, the anti-parking lot card. And then -7, very attainable. You get an emblem with when an artifact you control enters. This emblem deals 3 damage to any target. I think it's 1 mana too high for this to take off in other formats, but this is just a solid card. Okay, the last horse finally crosses the line. She's hunting the spark that's inside of the trophy for the race. My last 2 working brain cells just went zap. Don't act like every one of you got that immediately either. Anyway, Cloudspire Sky Cycle. It flies, that is literally just cheating. You're not even on the racetrack. Anyway, it's a 4 cost, red-white, 2/3. Artifact vehicle, so you still have to pay 1 to crew it, but flying. And then whenever this vehicle enters, distribute 2 1/1 counters among 1 or 2 other target vehicles and or creatures you control. Ooh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And by the way, this is for Team Cloudspire. We've seen that word before, of course. So some of the bigger just associations, loose term for, whatever, a guild, criminals, friends, whatever, a business, I don't know. They're all getting together to participate in this race, I guess. I don't know. I'm not going to read the story. I heard it was terrible. Oh, and I haven't actually seen the trailer yet. I think I'm going to do a live reaction. But for now, let's move on to Culloden, who knows, Triumph Caster. So he is a legendary creature, human pilot. It's 1 red, 1 white, 2/3. Mounts and vehicles you control have haste. Okay. Whenever a mount you control enters the battlefield, it becomes saddled until end of turn. And then whenever a vehicle you control enters, it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. Okay, so a little one and done autopilot on a 2-drop. That's not bad. That supports the set without being obnoxious. Next up, Oil Deep Gearhulk. Ooh. No trigger warning after the Phyrexian oil incident? I'm offended. I'm triggered. Anyway, 4 cost, straight up, double blue, double black, pay it or get out. So, artifact creature construct, 4/4, lifelink, and ward 1, okay. And when this creature enters the battlefield, look at target player's hand. You may choose a card from it. If you do, they discard it, and then they draw a card. So, the weirdest, most inflexible, I'd say pointless, but lifelink is pretty good. Ward 1 is what it is. It's really close to nothing, but not technically nothing. Yo, I was making a joke. Oh my gosh. After I got absolutely no sleep last night because I was up sick all night. But the flavor text is oil actuated inventions raise eyebrows after the invasion, but no one could argue against the efficacy of the design. See, they're triggered too. This is going to be really hard to cast. I feel like making it a mythic's a little generous, but I don't know if we've seen a Gearhulk that wasn't, so okay. But next up, we got Pyrewood Gearhulk, so this is interesting. They went the other way with this one. This is Rampy Boy right here. So it's 2 green, 2 red, and then 2 generic for 6 total. Artifact creature construct, of course. Vigilance, menace. Yeah, that ain't playing around. And when this creature enters battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance and menace until end of turn, which could single-handedly win the game. Damage can't be prevented this turn, so they are getting hit. Now, when this enters, you can't use him to crew a vehicle. Well, you could, but the vehicle wouldn't be a creature at the point where he enters the battlefield, so you wouldn't get the +2/+2 vigilance and menace, which means I don't think they thought this through very hard, or I'd say this wasn't meant to work with vehicles, but come on, it's this set. What else is there? And then the flavor text is a mystery to me, probably because my brain no worky, but a mighty memorial to a fallen savior. Probably something related to Pyrewood. I don't know. It's not the tree, because that was in Space Norway. It must have been Groot. That's who I think it was. So next up, it's Hull Drifter. Totally different than Mull Drifter. So it's a 5-cost double blue 3/2 flying artifact vehicle common. When it enters, draw 2 cards. Okay, and then crew 3. That is a lot of things mixed together that result in an unplayable card. I think they just had a space. And they're like, okay, let's print some garbage. Next up, a response unit. It's a 3-cost 3/3 artifact vehicle with flying and vigilance and crew 1. So once again, nothing exciting, but it's flying and vigilance. I mean, that'll be okay and sealed, but this whole set won't be okay and sealed. Hey, next up, we got a big mythic, literally and figuratively. And then literally again, 7-cost triple white mythic here. It's Valor's Flagship. Now, playing Pokemon Go for over 7 years here, Valor's typically red, so they messed that up a little bit, but that does look like something we would build, since we're the best team. Screw the tryhards and screw the knuckle draggers, Valor for life, baby, suck it. Anyway, flying first strike lifelink, hello, crew 3, and then cycling, okay, 3 total plus X. All right. When you cycle this card, which, don't keep it a hand, play that thing. If you got enough mana to make X even 1, just hold on, But whatever you cycle it, create X11 colorless pilot creature tokens. Ooh. With this token, saddles mounts and crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. So just expert drivers that can drive anything. That's very flavorful. This is an appropriate cost for how powerful it is. I like it. This is a mythic done right. Oh, this is crew 3, by the way, so you can't just swing away with it either. I'm sure somebody's going to free cast and clone it 50 times. I mean, this is standard we're talking about, but in a vacuum, this would have been really good. Next up, starting column, aka the Pinata, if you saw my other video. It's either Pinata or Towel Rack, I'm not sure. But it's a 3-cost artifact common. Start your engine, so speed 1 to 4, you know how it works at this point. Tap and add 1 mana of any color. Max speed, sack an artifact, or tap, sack an artifact. Or this artifact, I can't read. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Oh, 10 teams, 10 dreams, 1 winner. Okay, cool. I wonder if it's a relay. Not enough to actually read the story, but I do wonder out loud. Oh well, moving on with my life. Aetherdrift Godseeker. It's a 2-cost, single red 5/3. Hello. Legendary God, indestructible haste, start your engines. And then Aetherdrift, I'll just skip to it. Can't attack or block unless you have max speed. So that's why it costs 2. But then if you pay 1 and tap it, target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. So Aetherdrift the Accelerator, getting to that start your engines. It would have actually been so fitting in the standard meta if it just said she can't attack. But you had an indestructible 5/3 for 2 that could block. Think about it. Like, that would be outrageous. People would be losing their minds, but it would work because it would just stop all this rush bullshit, but you wouldn't be able to use it for 4 turns. It's the perfect solution. It would be hilarious, a hilarious troll card, and it's in the fast colors. And that's kind of the problem. I mean, you could make a 1/9 like Black God with Death Touch or something and just say can't attack, period. And then like, haha, the joke is it's like a living animated statue that can't move. Or like an actual literal pyramid. That would be hilarious. And then have it cost like 1 or 2 mana. And then they can't attack into it. It just stops all decks. And see, they would use this defensively in a red rush deck in case they need to buy a little bit more time. So it wouldn't work in red. But man, do I want an anti-rush card so bad. And give it reach. It would have to have reach. Anyway, moving on, we got Elvish Refueler because, of course, we need purple-haired female elves. Lot of females on the pit crew in NASCAR, so this just totally tracks and makes perfect sense. So it's a 3-cost, green 2/3, elf druid. During your turn, as long as you haven't activated an exhaust ability this turn, you may activate exhaust abilities as though they haven't been activated. And then exhaust, pay 2, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Ooh. So you can just use exhaust over and over and over and over and over. I think that's, even for 3, even on a blow-awayable creature, kind of broken. But let me remind you, I thought this was terrifically obvious. Somebody pointed it out and people were shocked by this. You can exhaust a card as long as it leaves the battlefield and comes back, like you flicker it or something, or exile it or bounce it, whatever you want to do. It is now considered a brand new permanent, so you could use exhaust again. And when it comes to the frogs from Bloomborough, that is what they do. And then this is in the same colors, so you could have like frog pilots effectively. It's probably the closest we're going to get to anything working, but I don't think there's a whole lot of like dirt cheap exhaust abilities. It is supposed to be a last-ditch effort. So next up, Draconautics Engineer. Okay, I'm into it. 2-cost 2/2, rare, Goblin Artificer, and exhaust, pay 1. Other creatures you control gain haste until end of turn and put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Okay. Then exhaust 4, your other option. Create a 4/4 red dinosaur dragon token with flying. Once again, don't really get how a highway race and flying really works. I guess you could be on the ground, but you could just be on the air and just straight shot it. None of it makes sense. If you scratch a little bit below the surface, you're just going to see plot holes that you could drive a dragon through. Anyway, next up we got Repurposing Bay. It's a 3-cost blue. Really unusual non-matching artwork that was supposed to be in a showcase frame, I would say. And they threw it on air for some reason. We've seen the full res version. It makes no sense. It's like illustrated. It's just odd. Anyway, it's a 3-cost blue artifact rare. If you pay 2 and tap it, sacrifice another artifact. Choose or search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed artifact's mana value. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery. I would have called it Upgrade Bay because that makes more sense, but yeah, it's just a vehicle birthing pod or whatever. I don't know. I don't play Modern anymore, and I never got into that deck archetype. Next up, Quag Feast. Ooh, tell me where it is and I'll show up with some sweet baby rays. It's a 2-cost black sorcery. Choose target creature, planeswalker, or vehicle. Mill 2 cards, then destroy the chosen permanent if its mana value is less than or equal to the number of cards in your graveyard. Not card types, not creatures, not spells, just cards, period. I'd say that's pretty effective. I could see why they made it a rare and made it sorcery speed, because otherwise you could probably count on that most of the time. Although, things are pretty fast right now in the format. Your graveyard might be a little emptier than you think. Next, we've got Aganosaur Rex. It's a 5-cost 8/8 because of course it is. Dinosaur, trample, cycling 3, and when you cycle this card, put 2 1/1 counters on up to one target creature or vehicle. It gains trample and indestructible until end of turn. Okay, that's really pushing it in all kinds of ways. You got a utility. It's cycling 3, so you ditch it and go for a better card if you can't afford the 5. It's only 2 less, but, if you're stuck, whatever. That's why I like cycling. Kind of an opening hand fixer, I like that. But then the ability is just like a green counter spell. And it makes stuff bigger. You could also just outright kill someone with this, with the trample and the counters. I don't like this. I think it's a little much. I mean, standard, the whole of standard is a little much right now, but an 8/8 for 5 on top of this that has built-in trample, I don't like that. This just all comes together to be very anomalous and very draft ruining. Next up, Streaking Oil Gorger. It's a 5-cost 3/3 creature vampire with flying and haste. And start your engines, and then max speed, this creature has lifelink. Okay, so now we've got vampires that drink oil. Interesting. In fact, the flavor text is they feed on oil. Where were they during the Phyrexian invasion? That's what they call hanging a lantern on it. If you're not familiar with storytelling, when something really doesn't make sense, if you can get in before the viewer notices it, or right about the same time before they start just saying, wow, this is just lazy story writing that makes no sense logically. If one of the characters goes, oh, well, that's weird, and then points it out, you feel like you're in the same boat. And now you're both like, what's up with this thing that makes no sense? And then you either circle back to it and explain it later, or you just don't. Either way, it's better. So she's like, I've never heard of these people. They would have been completely helpful during the Phyrexian invasion. Where the hell were they? And then we just move on and never answer it. Hanging a lantern on it, and this has been your fun fact of the day. Anyway, a 5-cost 3/3. Flying haste, though, and there's almost no flying in this set. That isn't a vehicle. Hey, don't underestimate it in Limited. Next up, Prowcatcher's Specialist. It's a 2-cost red 2/1 creature goblin warrior. Even the goblin appears to be some kind of crazy wild-haired feminist with way too much bright lipstick. If you squint, you actually can't tell it's a goblin. It just looks like every other feminist. But anyway, it has haste, it has exhaust, pay 4. Put 2 1/1 counters on this creature. So very uncreative, very vanilla. Next up, Venom Sack Lagak. I just don't see this being faster than a rocket-powered vehicle, but okay. 2-cost green 2/1 lizard mount, death touch, and whenever this creature attacks while saddled, it gets +3 toughness till end of turn and saddle 2. That's kind of neat. So suicide on blocking, but you might still live if you have to swing with it. I don't know why you would. I don't know why you'd even play this card, but hey. Next up, Midnight Mangler. Ooh. I thought they already called it something else, unless he has 2 vehicles. Because he was driving the monster truck. Unless this is the demon guy, but that looks like his ghost. I don't know. This looks like winter, isn't it? But whatever. So it's a 2-cost blue 3/3. Artifact vehicle. During turns other than yours, this vehicle is an artifact creature. Otherwise, crew 2. Okay. Next up, Light Shield Parry. Ooh, I do love me some good Light Shields. Those are good cards. 1-cost white common. Target creature gets +2/+2 till end of turn. You are speaking my language as my bread and butter in Limited. And then cycling 2. In case you feel like you don't need to do that or won't in the next couple turns, in which case you are almost definitely wrong. So no flying, no lifelink, no indestructible. It's nothing too special. It's just, +2. Next up, we got another god created, resurrected, found, I don't know. They did reference, though, and let me know if this shows up in the story, the old gods, how there used to be others, but I think it wasn't 100% clear when they opened the gate that the 2 that were hiding behind the gate were what they were referring to. I think we had evidence from some statues or a couple statements or something that was not the case. But we know that Bolas hacked the brains by tweaking the ley lines that powered the gods to change their attitudes and stuff. That's some high level magic right there. But I think there were more gods than that. So I don't think this is a new one, but then if you look at the last one that we saw, that was, I believe, directly stated in the little one paragraph about it that I found in the story because I wanted to know, it was implied it was a brand new god. So I'm really curious about that, but okay, so it's Sabsunin, Luxa embodied. And in the official lore, Luxa is a resort town with a bunch of water parks. So, 5 cost, green, blue, legendary creature god, reach, trample, indestructible, let's freaking go. And it can't attack or block unless it has an even number of counters on it. 0 is even. I would have went with odd. At the beginning of your first main phase, though, put a 1/1 counter on Sabsunin. Then, if it has an odd number of counters on it, draw 2 cards. Oh my god, so it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger over time. There's nothing they can do about it other than exile it or turn it into a something, pin it down, whatever, steal it. I mean, it's standard constructed. Let's be honest, this thing ain't as sturdy as you might think. But every other turn, you just straight up get 2 cards, additional cards, also known as 3 cards. And then every other turn, you get to attack with a giant version of this. Now, it doesn't have haste, so there's a 2-turn countdown, but with Indestructible, does it really matter? Now, she can't attack or block, so I mean, okay. But man, you could lay one hell of an ambush for someone. If they're like, this is my chance to attack, it's only going to get bigger and get worse, and then you just unleash absolute hell on them like Aetherize. Oh, baby. I'm really actually kind of liking this card. I think it's pushing the power level, but for 5 and 2 color, I mean, it's fine. What's not fine is WotC. Just think about that. I'm just going to make this statement, okay? They made Chandra a bit flatter and then appear to put a golden set of the same set objects on a frog. That sounds like something people from Seattle would do. And on that cheerful note, I'm out. There's more spoilers, but I gotta go to sleep at some point. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys next time.